Okay, sound back on, hopefully. At least my OBS tells me that it is, so let's trust in that. Thank you, thank you. No, so what's more to say about what I'm doing right now? Well, one of the things you can take from this is that sometimes just let the drawing lead you in some direction. Like you can say, I did not initially start out by saying I'm gonna do an Asian girl that is classically dressed but also kind of reflects a woodland creature with a hairstyle that's a little bit like ears. It kind of just came along as I did it. Now, as I've done it, I'm like, oh, wouldn't it be fun to do like a series of Asian girls or girls from with different kind of facial structures, and then trying to work their hairstyles into some way representing other kinds of wild animals. Again, a theme that you would have seen several times in different different screensavers and wallpapers that you can download across the internet. Animals and pretty girls is a big theme out there. Put something about the universe into it as well. There's like some ideas that just visually are very, very appealing, so so we keep on doing them. That's kind of funny actually, but you will see whether you look into like arts throughout the time. Oh, you can see when I'm doing this, I'm not like doing, oh, every bead has to be the same size. I allow these to kind of be different sizes, because you could imagine that beadwork, it would be like all different kinds of. And this is again inspired by something I saw on either some movie or, I don't know, a Discovery Channel program. It's just some images stick, and that's pretty nice because it gives you something to work with when you run into doing an idea like this. Could do like someone here that's slightly different because we want to kind of repeat the floral theme. Like that. And you get that down there and centered there in between the eyes as well. And then you can always kind of repeat this pattern across. If Star Wars fans might have noticed that this reminds you of a certain group of superhero-like people in the Star Wars universe, the way that they dress. So this is my Asian, maybe Mongolian woodland creature. Might go in and do like a little bit more like that. Lines of the lines in clothes will make people naturally go to like certain eras or cultures just from a few very simple lines like this. So so yeah, I think that this is, I could of course go in and do all kinds of extras in the background, or if you want to I can start inking this one and you can see how I go about it when I start out of inking. I don't think I did that before, but it's really just pretty much a repetition of the same process. So Oh, and no worries, you don't need to come up with any titles. If you want to save your catnips, you just save your catnips and I'll just continue doing something else. I can always just start with an I and see where it takes me. So this one I think will actually be pretty good in a black and white. Maybe with a few colors just around in these pieces again to accentuate that. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that one. Let's put that one aside. There we go. And let's remove the BRE and the tiny sketch things here. And titles, if you have catnip and you want to spend it, we've got the Revlobot up and running, so I can see whether or not anyone is spending their points, their catnips. Let me just see what's happening here. Oh, thank you for the retweets, Sazu Welshi. Always appreciated. Something with the dragon? I can always do something with the dragon. I remember, I mean, when you draw, sometimes you'll draw something that'll kind of stick with you, because you just remember that that drawing came out really, really well. And I did one back when I was in my 20s that I used for a t-shirt. Can't really, recreate it 100%, but I could kind of start out and see if I could recreate it a little bit. And yes, it's something to do with dragons. It's actually always tough when it's something where you're like, that was a really good one. Let's see. It was a dragon's head. Nah, that's not what I'm going to do right now. I can feel that I'm not feeling that one. Good thing we've got our eraser that way. Blank paper once again. Let's see. One of the things I'm always, when I'm starting a new drawing, one of the biggest decisions is I'm going to put the paper this way around, or am I going to put the paper this way around? Because this one, landscape direction, is gonna be useful for a different kind of image than this one, the portrait. As you can see, this is most definitely like the portrait direction, because you've got place for a head and hair and everything. But when you turn it the other way around, you're more into yeah, the landscape, like either something with a mountain in the middle or something. So the dragon I have in my notifications, that is in the landscape direction. And I mean, in some ways, the way think about when you do the drawing, whether or not it's landscape or portrait, is you're kind of thinking in the Western reading directions. You're like from this corner and down to this corner, because our eyes have a tendency to read a drawing in a certain direction. So if, for instance, let's go back to this one, because I'm pretty happy with this one. You can see, if you like reading it in this direction, I've made sure that you've got one of her eyes on this line, and then to draw your eyes as the viewer down towards the planet, I put in some stars here to kind of get your attention down here as well. But there is no doubt when you look at this that the center of this drawing is this area, not this area. Yeah, oh, you got the holiday card, Eric. That's awesome. That's awesome. I mean, I knew that they've gotten to all the Europeans. I was just like, fingers crossed that it would get safely to the US as well. So yeah, January isn't quite out and you got it, so that's awesome. I was actually thinking about, that's apropos Eric's holiday card, because I believe the wish was something Doctor Who, and Doctor Who and blue paper is like a gimme. I mean, imagine once again something with these stars and the TARDIS, and yeah, you know, do some pretty nice stuff with this. Oh, let's try something else, because before that was like, she was like the portrait, so let's try and keep it to the portrait direction, and just say them, I want a full figure in here instead. That means still, if I'm kind of reading the paper this way from one corner to the other, actually somewhere here would be a good place to place something, here would be a good place to place something, and here would also be a good place to place something. So if I wanted like 3 people here, I could start out by saying I want one. Let's put the focus on one here. With the height of the paper, that would be like a person standing up, without a doubt. So let's just, when I do like quick sketches like this, I kind of imagine, you know, that wooden man you can buy with all the different bendable arms and stuff like that. So kind of just draw in a sketch of this wooden dude or dudette, if I don't know what else. And you can see that's almost like drawing C3PO, so if I wanted, this could easily be made into a C3PO. But this is just to kind of get an idea about a stance, and I can see, well, if I've got another head down here and I tilt it slightly, that could be tilted towards who's ever down here. So let's just draw in, say this is like an extremely skinny person standing here, just for reference, with their hand on the shoulder. Of whoever is down here. That would be seen from the side. Oh, 1 second, I have to blow my nose. Be careful with your headsets now. So that would be like someone perhaps seen from the side, you can see this is still like wooden mannequin thinking. Like, so if his knees is around there, that would be like he could be down on his knees here. Right now it's like, looks like someone with a prison or something, I don't know. It could be, don't know. And then we're saying that we've got a last person down here. That could, for that sake, let's just take it down in size a bit. And then doing like a miniature here. That way you could have a kid standing around down here, and then you would have like made sure you kind of get all of this. So it can be a good idea to think a little bit about readability. This is one of the things I think about a lot when I do a drawing. Well, in the beginning it was most like I could see that something, I was doing something and I thought that the elements of the drawing, I really liked them, but they always ended up in the wrong place of the paper. Then I had a few classes where they kind of explained things like this with there's all scientific explanations as to why we do things and look at things in the way we do. You don't have to understand any of it, you just have to understand that that's the way it is and use it in how you place things on the paper. So and then you will kind of choose the focus area by how the people is communicating either towards each other via body language and facial expressions, or directly towards the viewer. In these, there's no doubt you're like communicating directly to the viewer, looking straight out at whoever's like imaginary taking this picture. When you do something with more like complex groupings, like for instance here, if you want to be this to be the center, then you could put another person over here, because that way you get stopped here by someone who would be standing over here and being the taller person, and that would kind of draw your eyes down here. A lot of these things are things that I've picked up over all the years I've been drawing and all the different classes I've taken. Let's just say I haven't taken a lot of classes. I've always been like, I just like to draw. I'll just pretty much draw what takes my fancy. But if you really, really want to be good at drawing, just some standard classes in composition and color is a really good thing to have. And I usually, when it comes to proportion and stuff like that, of course I used to have one of these wooden mannequins. I might still have it somewhere down in the basement. But somehow these proportions just got stuck in my head. And I remembered rules like, where's your elbow? Well, when you bend your elbow and press it to your side, it's going to be just around your waistline. This part is going to be approximately as long as this part, from in here to down there, there to there, that one, there to down to there. So you kind of get these different systems that helps you remember. and also you just get more and more of an eye for it the more you work with it. Sketching reality has never really been the part of drawing that's fascinated me the most. I mean, of course, I've done some sketching, but I'm frankly more fascinated by the stuff that comes out of my head than the stuff I see outside. I mean, there's a lot of interesting people in the world, and at times, as you know, I'll do some fan art because I'm fascinated by a certain personality, and I want to kind of try and see if I can capture the personality. But when it comes to drawing reality, what I've mainly been drawing has been architecture, trying to figure out how buildings are constructed. When it comes to people, I prefer my imaginary people. Yeah, buildings and stuff. One of the many things I did when I was younger, when it comes to studying, was I spent some time doing technical drawings of how to run electronics through a building and stuff like that. And I'm fascinated by architecture. I'm fascinated by clothes. I've done a certain amount of fashion drawing. That's why I've spent a lot of time figuring out stuff like how to, just draw a couple of lines and then give it an Asian style, because this is really knowledge that I draw from being a tailor. It's not knowledge I draw from being able to draw. So, so some things you pick up not by drawing them, but by doing all other sorts of things, and then it just kind of adds up to the different things you put into your drawings. So this was really just to illustrate about the different points about building up a group and stuff like that. Of course, one of the most famous examples is famous artists, where you have like what's it called, the Last Supper of Christ. I think that's one of the most famous examples of someone really using the space and the way that all the different characters in the picture is set up to kind of draw the attention to the center of the picture. Actually, what happens is pretty often I watch someone else draw. It's a little bit like, the feeling like you've read a really, really good book and you're like, oh, I want to do that. I want to try to do that. So when I get an idea, how do I get an idea? Sometimes it's just like if inspiration from others, yes. Then there's something like this one. This one is because of certain things happening in the world at the moment, and somewhere in my mind I was thinking about all this, about that there's all these pictures of this extremely forgiving Mother Earth, and I'm like more of a scientific kind of person, so I'm like, no, there's no Mother Earth to protect us. There's like this big universe, and it doesn't really care about us. But by accident, we came here anyway, and that's kind of the story I've tried to put into this picture. Whether this is the story people take from it when they look at it, that there's like no guarantee. I mean, I would have to like write down the entire story about all the little things that put together gave me the idea for it. So sometimes it's hard to say, and then other times it's simple things like looking at a red piece of paper and saying, I want to draw something on this red piece of paper. What does it make me think of? Well, it made me think of Udi. And then things just came like that. So how you get inspired is well, that's a good question, as we say. I mean, there's a difference between things you draw because, oh, I'm gonna draw a cat. Then I sit down and okay, I'm gonna draw a cat. It's gonna. There we go. There's an ear. There's an eye. There's a nose. This is a little bit like Lulu. So kind of fluffy furry. And it's sitting down. And there's a tail. Now, how did I get the inspiration to draw that? Well, I was like, I'm gonna draw a cat. So that was pretty concrete. Which is like the totally opposite of this one, the blue one again, where it's like, okay, I have this really abstract concept about my feelings about what's happening in the world at the moment that I'm going to try to express somehow. So you can see it's like different levels of inspiration. So sometimes you of course draw inspiration from outside. Sometimes it's like working with these colored pages. It was like, oh, I just saw someone do this technique. I want to try it out and see what happens when I try working with these colored papers. So as you can see, I don't really have any deep thoughts about that. It's just drawing is is what happens as a result of all the other stuff. Let's just put in a lake there since we've got a kitty. So you can see it's like from different places. Sometimes I'll just, I mean, I kind of showed a bit of that last time. I'm like, okay, I don't know what I know. I'm feeling the urge to draw because the process of drawing is relaxing to me, and I just have no ideas at the moment. So I'm going to just like, you know, doodle something random there, and then I'm going to let it be up to the part of the human brain that works with pattern recognition. It's going to look into this and say, somewhere in this there's something. And then I'll just start filling in the lines and see, okay, this could be like, maybe it's just shapes. I mean, who haven't spent ages doing just simple doodles? I mean, I've got pieces of paper that's nothing besides me trying to draw a frame, not the picture inside the frame, but a frame. I'm fascinated by all picture frames, so it'll be like piece of paper, and then I'll be like, oh, I absolutely adore those wooden frames where there was like an oval piece in the middle here. And then it was made from wood, and it had like different kind of inlays along the frame or a little signature or something. And that's interesting because that lets you draw a lot of different textures, like for instance textures in wood grain or something like that, and ignore what would have been the picture inside. So yeah, but a lot of what I do is also extremely simple. I mean, you saw the cards, the holiday cards I was doing. The holiday cards are always, because it's like a tiny piece of paper. It's like one of these pieces folded in half. And when you're like doing, for instance, a card, a holiday card or a birthday card, there's like certain conventions about it that you're working with. Like for instance, there's often a frame. So I'll for instance start out by saying, okay, I want a frame all the way around this card, and you kind of roughly shape in your frame. Then you have like, I think I did happy holidays on most of them, so I'd be like, okay, let's just try to go in here and see if I can get this to look probably so that I got like the good size of letters. Like that. They've got your happy holidays in the bottom. Then maybe you want to, let's just move this so you can see this one. And then once again, I'm left with like this tiny piece of area to do something on, so there's like a limit to how much I can stuff in there. One of my favorite things have always been to do like tiny castles up against the moon, so like a fairy tale castle, where you do like this. So you kind of have like, you know, like stock images for photo. You're gonna end up with like stock images in your brain. I mean, Welshie, you got your first stock image. It's a dodo. I've got these different ones that I've kind of developed during the years. That I've decided these are like images I like. So this is like a fairy tale castle, and then you're like, oh, besides there's going to be like a long windy road, something like that. And then you're like, oh, I want it to be on some rocks. So you can see now you've already got so happy holidays, this, and then if you go in here and you do like the moon in the background, and then you can like break up the edges of the moon out here, and then you can do like a little little bit of clouds. And same out here on the other end. You see, this is of course like the very cartoony style, but it's still like a pretty simple image done in not that long as soon as you got it into your head. So that's Barbie's Scary Dream Castle or something like that. And then if you start, let's see, let's do some quick ink. Everybody has like their different favorite tools. My favorite tools are like these. These are architect pens. This is 1/2 millimeter. This is 1 millimeter. So you got like different sizes of these. So if you like go in here and start drawing this here. This is one of my favorite quick draw images, actually. It's like all the fairy tale and everything. You can see it's already starting to look like something, so I have no idea what a JCB ticker is. Are you going to suggest a title? Are you going to spend catnip on it, will she? Because otherwise we need to find something else to use catnip for if it's going to be like either we use it for that or for something else. But feel free to suggest a title. You're going to pay for it? Well then, do go ahead, because this one is, like you can see, almost done. Spend some catnip. Make the cats go crazy, that's what you're using it for. So, let's see. But that was just like trying to show that it doesn't always have to be like a really, really complicated drawing to make something look good, especially if you have like a small piece of paper. Well, you have plenty of time to think about it. It won't be the only time I'll be drawing, so I'm gonna blow my nose again. Okay. Yes, I see I have one redemption on my Revlo. So what would you like me to redeem for you? So give me a good title, will she? And let's see what I can make of it. That's funny, Science. JCB Digger. Yeah, definitely. I see why that's your favorite tool then, so. Big machines and power tools, we all need them sometimes. Now that is okay. We are going to have to define the thing about a title. A Buffy Xena crossover drawing is a very specific, but I'm going to do my best with it, of course. Buffy Cena crossover. Okay, let's see. What am I thinking? What am I thinking? Okay. This is probably not what you're thinking, but this is what came up in my mind. Let's see. If I can express this. I have to decide whether I'm going to do this in landscape or in, well, let's just do this quick like this. So this is my idea. Let me talk about it while I try doing it so that it doesn't come out too well. You all know Xena, warrior princess. Let me just draw a few things out here while I explain what my idea was, and let's see. I think I'm going to have to do a portrait turn. But Xena, she has like this kind of weapon, you know. I just go. It's like almost a boomerang like effect on this ring that she throws, extremely sharp and everything. It's got all kinds of weird runes around the edges and stuff like that. And as you all know, Buffy has a weapon that's, well, basically, this is Buffy's weapon. So in my mind, if these two girls, ladies, came together, and there was like no monsters around or anything, and they didn't know what to do, well, you know how to play horseshoe? that's yeah, the chakram, exactly. So I'm going to try and see if I've got like literally a pointy stick, yeah, exactly. So I'm going to see if I can do like someone who's about to throw a chakram. So right now inside my head I'm trying to kind of think about what the body posture would be if you were throwing something. Kind of have like one shoulder backwards and then the other would be like down there. It would be like holding it in front of you, perhaps. Like, let's see. Yeah, not perfect, but we're all starting out somewhere, so it's like seeing. Yeah, was that? It was Mr. Pointy. Wasn't that the name of it? The stick, Mr. Pointy, that she got from Kendra. I think it was. Faith was definitely my favorite Slayer. I was like, it was like easier for me to kind of get into the idea of her having had a rough time. And I mean, I never really had a life like Buffy with with all the stable. It was more like, oh yeah, Faith, like I can kind of relate. There's a little bit more goth going on there. Mm. Yeah, I'm probably going to have to work on this one a bit after as well, because it could be a pretty funny idea. Got to have, like, Xena is like chest plate territory. Just can't remember precisely what her harness looks like. Something like down there. Vampire warriors and ancient gods. Well, really, I'm thinking more of it like a meetup where you have like, imagine there was like a girls' club where all the superhero ladies kind of meet up, and then kind of imagine what they would do while waiting for the next assignment. And it's like, oh, let's go shoot some hoops, something like that. Of course, she has just like a funny armor, because it's a bit like it's a Roman armor made like leather flaps that kind of goes down there. Let's see. It would be like let me just get these right. Yeah. Like this there. definitely not my best work, but definitely a challenge with something like this. She's got, can't remember if it's just like if she's actually wearing boots or if it's more like sandals and some wrappings. So proportions are definitely not very good here. Really, the waistline should be basically up there. And then you'd have like this is me still explaining what it should look like if it looked really good. Then you'd have like Buffy, because here you've got Warrior Lady, Xena. Willow and Gabby talking contest? That would be some contest. Especially if Willow was nervous and Gabby was nervous, it would be like, let me get out. Someone's gonna get their head talked off. Like, I got her way too much like forward in the picture, but that's like should have been smaller and backwards. But I'm working with it. We've got Body with the blonde hair. And here's the thing, Buffy, that was always like clothes that was like in, so she would be wearing something like let's say a little top like that one. And a lot of the time she would really be like tiny skirts. So you could kind of go in there and you can say, I'll do one that somehow refers back to Xena's over here. So it's like Valley Girl Warrior and Warrior Princess. One of the funny things about Buffy was that I liked that Joss Whedon allowed her to be a powerful, even though I was like, oh, I prefer Faith personally. The fact that Buffy, even though she was very, very pink and very, very girly, was allowed to be like powerful. That was some message, because otherwise it's always like, if you want to be powerful when you're female, you're gonna have to kind of adopt a male role. And you can, and in some ways, Xena still carries some of that, because you kind of have to go all the way out and be like the warrior lady. Oh, there's a kitty. As you can see, he decided to come by and step in Buffy's face. So right now the Slayer is underfoot. Hi Oscar. Hi Miss. So, Oscar, come. Let's see if I can move him without doing too much destruction to property. Yeah, maybe, if I'm lucky. No, right back up there. So, kitty. Well, as you can see, he has now very demonstratively sat on the ladies. So it's like a cat butt moment right now. Yeah. It's like, I can see your attention is right there, mommy. Let me put myself right where the attention is. Oh. And then stuff started falling to the floor. Such a good kitty, eh? Such a good kitty. Yeah. Let's just move some stuff here. So, well, that's the price of cat. I don't know if you can hear him, but he's like totally crazy right now. Yeah, he's feeling that the picture has a lack of cat. There's no doubt about that. So, fun. You can see. Kitty. Yeah, he's like, I want to pet the camera. I want to definitely pet the camera. So, if you're like, I don't have enough pets in my life, please borrow mine for a few seconds. Yeah. Everything is getting mushed around a little bit right now. Come on. Come, Oscar. Come. Yeah, this is the cat block thing that I sometimes post. Oh yeah, the camera is upside down. Otherwise, it would be impossible for me to show you things in the right direction when I'm drawing. So, but you can see like underneath the cat here somewhere. There's a drawing that I was working on for Will She. Yeah. Well, he's like, hey, somebody said catnip. I want some of all that catnip. So, but he always wants fuss, Welshie. Always. Always. And always that much more fun when I'm in the middle of doing something else, of course. Now let's see. There we go. Let me get the camera adjusted a little bit. There we are. So that's what we were up to. So you've got Xena, and we've started out with Buffy here, and what I really wanted would require them to be placed back in the picture, because I wanted like a picture of Buffy's steak and they were kind of throwing at it, but right now it's more like let's see, can't really do that, so I have to do something else. So we've got like Xena standing there looking almighty and everything. So I think we've got Buffy like, screw this steak. Because seriously, when you have something like that, that can, the chakram, that can just decapitate. Well, even as a slayer, a steak may seem like, well, it may be like the classic weapon, but it may lack some of the style. Just a little bit. See if I can do that with a placement here without it getting to looking too dirty. Well, one of the things that is not promised in the rewards is that it's going to be like always, you know, super duper, because it's always going to be like whatever I can come up with right now. So here we've got like Buffy steak, and as you might be able to see from her, let's just do that little thing there with her eyebrows, she's like, Cena got like the really, yeah, come on, let's fight eyebrows on here. And Buffy got them all like, seriously? A stick? That's what you gave me? Like boots from the 90s. But something like this, drawing something mainly from a title that someone else gives you, is again one of those things that you can use to challenge yourself, because it's not your idea, and it can be really, really tough drawing something that's not your idea, actually. And not feeling too bad about it if it doesn't come out perfectly. I mean, there's several things about this one where I'm like, oh, if this was something I was just, I decided I want to draw something specific, I might just have thrown this away and started over on a new sketch. But because I'm doing it this way, and hopefully at some point be able to do them even faster, it kind of lets go, and you see I started out with one idea, ended up coming out with a different idea, so and just because I like putting in something like this is going to kind of balance the fact that I put them in the wrong part of the paper. Funny enough, I'm just going to put that one there, and let's see, might place something like that. And then, of course, to make it optimal, if I spent a lot more time about it, and I was thinking like, oh, a Xena Buffy crossover, I would be like, oh, wouldn't it be fun if they were fighting zombies? Because none of them are fighting zombies, really. Except for some episodes where you have like zombie-like creatures. So, wow, it's 11 o'clock. A little bit past 11 o'clock, actually. So that means 2.5 hours. And yeah, I think that means that we are going on closing down for the day. Well, as long as you're happy with it, Welshie. I mean, you have catnip, no reason not to spend it on silly little things, because the only thing you can spend it on is silly little things. So I actually think Xena's facial expression came out pretty good, and Buffy's as well. Bedtime already. No, I can just, I can... Oh, now you want the picture of Buffy and Xena fighting? Be careful if that's the title. I could just like do, oh, they're going to be slap fighting or something like that. I can make them look cool, or I can make them look, well, this one here, Welshie? Let's just call it Xena and Buffy crossover, January 23rd. Or will she wish? I'm gonna make sure that I do some better pictures of this, and if I do a lot more work on it, finishing it up, I can actually just sit around a little longer, just, you know, working just on this one. Fighting in a bath of mud. Well, I have certain guidelines that I have to adhere to on Twitch as well. But besides that, I have, when I was a kid, made some money, I have to admit, on drawing semi-dressed females for some of the boys I went to school with. They weren't very rich, but neither was I, so that was some good money. Now it's more like cleaning up the lines. I like the way that Buffy, she looks like she's just like, yeah, well, I'll just stand here. Oh, Anyanka, another of my absolute favorite character. I really, really liked her. People are confusing. Yeah, these two are dressed. I have learned also, because I'm now a tailor, so I now know how to make them dressed. So, also, I think it's very clearly here that Xena is definitely like the older, more warrior style, while Buffy, while the Slayer is definitely still your teen. So let's just do a little bit like that. I liked Anyanka. She was funny. There was a lot of like really heavy storylines, like all the storylines about Buffy's mom getting sick and stuff like that, and if she hadn't really been there and been like the character to help getting an explanation through, it would have been like only heavy feelings and not a lot else happening in those episodes. Well, a pointy stick is a pointy stick. I mean, if I had to choose one of these two tools to use in a kitchen, I would definitely grab the chakram, because you could kind of chop parsley with it and stuff like that. Can't really chop a lot of stuff with the... I mean, you can try to steak a steak or something like that. Yeah, exactly, Zazu. I was like Anya in many ways was like one of the more adult characters. Where the others were like about finding their way. Anya, she was already like several thousand years old, so she was like, please, bitches. Well, if you use the chakram here, you can actually make a pointy stick. So in that way, you would have to say that it was the more versatile, because you can use that one to do the other. So that only works one way around. I'm feeling the need to kind of put something in the background or something. Well, this might not be the last you see of this drawing in the end. It's going to be one of these that's like, oh, this was actually kind of funny. Let me do some more work on that one. Yeah, but this isn't Gabby. I mean, she's blonde like Gabby, and she stands beside Xena like Gabby. But it's like, this is a different blonde. So who's gonna be the sidekick? Let's just give them something like rough patch of grass or something to stand in here, just so. That actually helped me just a little bit. Yeah. So yeah, and it's got your name on it, Welchie. So in this form, and if I get something more than that done on it, it is going to be scanned and posted in the Furballs group, or at least taking some pictures of it. And yeah. And if you want me to send it somewhere, just talk to me so we can figure it out. Otherwise, it's gonna be in my stack of drawings I have lying around at home. So yeah, Buffy and Xena. Slayer Princess. So yeah, definitely. So that's a cutie. And something that, I mean, it's often like that. You start out and everything looks messy and really sketchy and like, now you got to listen to me on the way, hearing me with my, oh, I don't really like that, I don't really like that. That doesn't necessarily mean that I'm not going to like the end result, because I'm actually pretty happy with the end result of this one, or how far we got with it now. And I think that could actually turn out to be like a pretty neat finished drawing, this one. So that is a pretty good thing of the day. We've got like a funny comedy thingy here. Might even figure out something, a funny text or something to put in it as well. And then we got the Asian woodland creature lady. Pretty happy with her as well. So I'd say that's pretty good for an evening's work. It got me slightly distracted from my blue lady, space lady, so I might be able to go back to her with fresh eyes. And with that, we have passed 11:15. And that means that if I'm going to draw anymore, I'm going to at least need a break. So what's the vote? Should I come back and draw more afterwards, or are you done now? Let's see, that's a pretty picture. Be fun sometime, maybe doing, like taking something like this and say, oh, let's do like a 5-page, maybe not a graphic novel, but just like a storyline. So you always vote for more, so, and it's up to me. You know what, I'm going to take my 10 minutes break, then I'm gonna come back, and then we can just see how long I'm going to last. How about that? Is that a deal? Yeah, having a little bit of the sniffles, but not that tired yet. Got that nap before I started, so yeah. I'm gonna turn down sound and you get 10 minutes without me yapping away, so you can kind of focus on each other and chat. I'll go look at another chat room for 10 minutes and see you then. Okay, and back for last time after this break for this evening. Let me see what's happening in chat. Oh, good night, Zazu. Hope you sleep well. I'm not Wilshie, but I'm helping the person who is continuing the stuff. Okay. Thank you for the welcome backs. As always, it is a pleasure hanging with all you guys in chat. I mean, I think I have like an advantage on some other streamers by actually knowing a lot of people in chat. I mean, that's it's so nice having been able to meet people in person. I'm not sure whether there's going to be an invitation for a barbecue this year. Not the best year for it with Anders starting school and everything, but it's definitely a plan that is going to happen again. So about this year, I'm gonna have to wait and see a little bit. Let's figure out what we are going to do for the final drawing for the evening. Let's see, should I do a dragon simply because it's like expected of me? Or should I do something totally different? Well, I mean, I have like a certain amount of things that is easy to just start up and do, and then I've got other stuff that just happens as I draw. Yeah, it was really awesome. I really enjoyed the barbecue. Like I said, it was really nice meeting people in person. And I mean, Scudavi and Morwen made it all extra special with their little surprise. So it was like, yeah, that was really something. I mean, not that I didn't think that I knew people before I met them in person, but it's always like an extra dimension when you're like streaming. It's people see your face, or in this case, your hands and what you're doing. But I can imagine that if you're not as lucky as I am, when you start out streaming, you're feeling like you maybe just talk to the camera instead of actually talking to people. I do appreciate having people to talk to. Yeah, I heard Scudavi got his visa. That is absolutely awesome. So let's see. What should I draw? What should I draw? I'm drawing something. This is like, again, one of those themes that I've been working with a little bit. It's about placement of people and making people look like they might actually be hugging each other or standing close to each other. And the thing about drawing one body separated from another body is a lot easier than trying to like intertwine two bodies in any way. If you ever want something really challenging, try drawing two people having sex. I mean, it may sound like a bit of a turn on, but when it comes to the art of it, trying to make sure that it doesn't look totally out of I mean you can really get things out of proportion because angles and so many limbs in one place. Remember once someone telling me that if you really want to learn how to draw naked ladies, you should sit down with, I mean, Playboy or porn magazine, something like that. I mean, of course, not all the positions that you're seeing in a magazine like that is going to be something you want to draw. I mean, there's some of it that's really in your face, but you have, I mean, naked ladies has always been like a great deal of, and men for that sake, for art. The naked body, the human body anatomy is like a big deal of art, and it's really really tough to do actually. And this one of these hits isn't in the right position, so let's try again. It to be kind of tilted towards each other. Like that. Yeah. I mean, people can deny all they want that they don't know anything about that kind of magazines or that kind of something. I mean, I'm 42. In the world I live in, most people know about that particular kind of physical exercise, to phrase it politely. So you can see right now it's just like me messing around with like tiny things about this. So this should be like, you've got the arm and the shoulder, and then you've got the arm, and then you should have like yeah, not really getting it right, but still. That's what you've got to look at right now, because that's what I'm drawing right now. So sometimes when you do a drawing, what you're really doing is maybe just like a study in anatomy, actually, trying to figure out to get everything in the right place. Oh, we are not really very prudish about stuff like that in Denmark. Because seriously, it's one of the most natural parts of life. But it seems that apparently it's considered taboo in a lot of other countries. I think that might be one of the reasons why there's all this discussion about whether or not people should be able to control their own right to have kids and stuff like that, is because they've made the entire thing taboo. And I mean, seriously, if you grew up in the countryside like me, you've seen bigger things on horses, so not really that scary. But there's a lot of things where we, like in Scandinavia, we kind of think it's funny when the rest of the world take it like totally, you know, like, oh, I mean, yeah, we're not exactly. I mean, even the Romans called us barbarians back in the Viking days. I think we're pretty happy about being barbarians in a lot of areas, because it allows you to relax a lot about stuff. Well, honestly, I'm like, again, I grew up in the 70s in Scandinavia. I mean, porn was free before I was born, abortion was free before I was born. I mean, I see all these things about equal wages, but in Denmark it's more like equal wages towards certain professions than it's toward one sex or another. So I think we're somehow, by not trying to hide everything, maybe coming out a bit on top on some of those things. We've got one of the lowest scores of teen pregnancies and stuff like that because we actually educate. But then again, these are all my ways of viewing life, and again, that's all very informed about what part of the world you're from, what you grew up with. Yeah, exactly. Dark winter dreams. It's like there was this thing that was up in the media back here recently with this English woman who had moved to Denmark, and a lot of her observations about moving to Denmark and stuff like that. It was really entertaining. And people do tend to, from other countries, be a little bit weird about the fact that sometimes people are naked at the beach. I mean, seriously, why not? If you see a lot of naked people, well, you're not really that surprised. And if, like, nakedness is always going to be referred to as something that has to do with sex, it's really no wonder that people get a little bit screwed up around the world. I mean, when I've had to kind of try to explain it to younger kids and stuff like that, I always just been like, well, here's sex. Sex is like a really, really entertaining kind of sports, and it's best if you do this kind of sports with somebody you like. But then again, increase in teenage pregnancy. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Right now, this drawing is not really coming out as anything, but this is just me doodling and talking now, you know, that part where I give my weird opinions on the world. I'm just glad that I didn't have to live with like a lot of morals mixed up with trying to understand what sexuality was, because let's just say it like it is, you don't become a bad person because you think about sex. It's not like, oh, I'm thinking about sex, I'm a horrible person, la-di-da-di-da. Nah, not really. You thought about sex, that means you're probably a pretty ordinary person after all. But it kind of leads to these things where people like, yeah. And I don't mind that people have like, you know, their own personal limits as to what they want to talk about and stuff like that. But when it starts becoming a culture to make things shameful, I'm like, I'm not there with you. Yeah, I mean, kids are gonna ask you on the level that they're interested, so just don't panic and try to over-explain something. They'll tell you exactly what it is that they want to know, and then you can kind of focus on that. So like when they're younger, it might be, what, that's weird, where does babies come from? And they're not asking you about sex, they're just asking you where babies come from, which is two different things. One is procreation and something you can put a lot of science into explaining, and other things are just, well, the babies comes from the mama's stomach and stuff like that. So kids aren't really that hard. It's more the parental. I mean, parents can be so scared on behalf of their kids once in a while. I'll never really, and this I admit freely, I'll never really understand it because I'm not ever going to be in a mom position. I'm always going to be like the aunt, and that's like a totally different position. So I'm sure there's a lot of different things going on there I know absolutely nothing about, but I think I'm pretty happy like that. Doesn't look like his arm is around him there or anything. Well, yeah. I mean, kids talk, and if the parents won't talk to them and the teachers won't talk to them, they'll just talk to each other. And that's some really funny ideas they can come up with then. But I think every culture probably have things that they're like more taboo about than other things. Some countries have like, you can't talk about death. Some countries it's you can't talk about sex. Some countries it's, I don't know. Everybody has like their cultural hang-ups, I guess. His shoulder's wrong. That's what's bugging me. Sometimes I'll just work forever on a drawing like this because there's like these tiny details and I just want to really work with the shapes. Yeah, exactly, red one. It's like I don't have to worry about getting anyone up in the morning and following them to school, but it's a pretty good idea that I got that computer science education because and also I've learned the most insane things about K-pop because one of my nieces are into K-pop. So I mean, you try to kind of figure out what all of that stuff is, but like the bigger things, they are not the things I have to worry about. You can see like I've got something about this right where they kind of draw towards each other on the middle here. But it's gonna take some work. I mean, his arm could either be going in and around her waist, but I have to make sure that if I draw someone that looks semi-nude, make sure that they have no nipples. We still haven't got our dispensation for nipples in the creative. They've talked about letting it, that we're going to be able to draw nipples in a while. But, you know, these terms of service wasn't originally made for artistic expression, so Yeah, Twitch's terms of service is for like the content delivered by Twitch. What you get in your ads is that can be quite different. I have to say that my personal experience of the ads is more along the lines of, oh my god, the same ad again and again and again, which is extremely annoying. Yeah, it's supposed to be a hug, but I'm having issues with getting the lines in it right. So I'm trying to do this thing where I'm kind of just doing loose lines around the areas that I'm not really sure about. And then you can see like this there would be like around her waist somehow. And she would be like, so that means we'll get this line there. And then she would be, perhaps her arm would be there, maybe even with her hand up there. So you would have like that kind of connection towards the center point. Well, honestly, I've been drawing nipples since I was in the 6th grade, so this entire nipple thing, that's from a culture that's not the one I grew up in. I'm doing my best to adapt because I want to have an online life. But again, we see things differently where I'm from. I mean, it's a drawing. I'm not drawing anyone doing anything even remotely dirty in a drawing like this one. This is more like just a loving hug thingy. I think the nipple thing is kind of funny. I have to admit that. It's like nipples. It's like everybody got them. I mean, it's not even a gender-specific thing. Everybody's got nipples. So that would be like a couple's drawing. In this case, male-female, but because I did both of them with long hair, it could easily be changed to being male-male, female-female. So like that. Helped a bit. Well, let's just say that as Europeans, there are some things that where we differ from the American culture in the area. I mean, sometimes I've had a bit of a laugh about the fact that people here talk sometimes about, we have to be careful about Muslims because Muslims are like you know, they're like taboo about sexuality and taboo about all kinds of things. And I'm like, oh my God, you're describing the US. So at least when it comes to like everything that's like public accessible, I mean, even though they also have like cable that has more violence and sex than anything we produce here, then on the other hand, they have this like, oh, we have it, but we don't talk about it in public. That's kind of weird. But yeah. So it's mainly like trying to get like the body shapes to kind of lean into each other. If you want to work with it even more extreme, you kind of like split out here and have like the upper bodies only connected via, for instance, these arms, and then imagine that you kind of have the two people leaning slightly away with arms around each other's shoulders, and you'll get like an angle like this. That'll go down here and you'll end up with like a Y shape. But that's once again something about how to place things in the picture. So that was a little much. That was a little more, and we are right now 6 minutes from midnight. And I think that that's a good wind down point. I promised myself that today I was going to find someone we can raid, just because you're supposed to do that, and I can see there's a lot of people online. So let me just see. Of course, Geek Girly is online. I can see Elag is online as well, and God is online. So, oh, wait a second. I know someone who only has 2 viewers right now and who's playing Tomb Raider. So if you don't mind, I'll just find a link. You can see here. This is Rebisha. Oh, 1 second, that was the wrong link. Gotta get the right link in there. Have to remember all stuff like this. This is Rebisha, who is playing Tomb Raider right now. And feel free to drop by at Rebisha and do a little fireball raid. Like that. That should do it. I'm gonna jump into the channel and say fireball raid, and I hope you'll follow. I know a lot of you will probably go back to Anna as well, but come in, say hi, and then do as you please with the rest of your evening. It was a pleasure to have you here as always, and I'll be back next Monday, and next Monday is going to be not the first Monday of the month. It's going to be the 31st, so it's not going to be Sims. It might be another Doodle stream, because I like doing the Doodle stream and I'm drawing a lot at the moment. But for now, thank you for stopping by, and I'll hope you follow me by to Rebisha and say hi. I am going to host let's see, Rebisha. So, thank you once again, hosting Rebisha.